this is a game where I'm expecting the Detroit Lions to go in and just have an absolute field day. And I got to ask you, all of you guys, chat family, please, is there anything to be concerned about in this matchup versus the Tennessee Titans?
Concerned, no. Mindful, there was something that I was a little bit surprised about when I did the Flannel Sam Titans deep dive, because I haven't watched a lot of Titans football this year, because why would I? Because they're not fun to watch. However, when you really look into them, the Titans actually have had a pretty good defense this year. Would it shock you to know that the Titans are number 1 in the entire National Football League in yards allowed per game? Number 1. To me, that's absolutely shocking, but it's true. They're a 3rd in passing defense in terms of passing yards allowed per game and 7th in rushing yards allowed per game. And don't get me wrong, I don't necessarily think that it's something that the Lions have to worry about, because the only offense that they face that's even comparable to the Lions is the Buffalo Bills, and look what Buffalo and Josh Allen did to them last week. It's something to be mindful of, because they actually have a pretty good front four. Harold Landry, future Lion maybe, he's really good. Arden Key as a bookend is good. And then at the defensive tackle position, you've got rookie Tavondre Sweat, who's been one of the better defensive rookies this season. And of course, Jeffrey Simmons, who is consistently one of the best and most respected interior defensive linemen in the NFL. And not to mention, they did sign L'Jarius Sneed, but L'Jarius Sneed hasn't really played that well. And they just traded for Jerome Baker. I'm not saying that this defense is going to that they're going to stop the Lions, or that they're even really going to limit them, but that is something to be mindful of, especially since the Lions are coming in without Jamison Williams. It's one thing that stood out to me about the Titans that I wasn't really expecting.
Yeah. Hey, that dude, Justin, I want to be able to get your thoughts on this as well. The concerns for the Titans. One, I believe complacency. We've seen the Detroit Lions through the years go and largely handle business, and that's what I'm hoping they continue to do. I don't believe that Dan Campbell, we talked about it a little bit earlier when you were referencing maybe some components between he and Lalonde of the Red Wings, is that Dan Campbell, he's a leader of men, and not just a leader of men, but a motivator as well. I don't really have any concerns with them being complacent, but right now, playing down to your level of competition, and Titans are 1 of 5. I think that's one of those things that you want to make sure you have your eyes wide open for.
See, I would be worried. There's 2 things. The first one is it's smack dab in the middle of 2 divisional games, where you could totally see the Lions looking ahead to the Packers next week. You have a chance to go up 2 in the division and really take a hold on this NFC North. So for that reason, I could see the complacency creeping in, the fact that the Titans aren't that good. But we're at home. Yeah. We are at home. We don't lose at home. I really don't see the pathway for the Titans. I think that their D-line's really good. Jeffrey Simmons is elite. He's going to make the run game tough. But I truly believe we're just too balanced for this Tennessee roster. And then our defense is good enough where Will Levis should throw like 3 picks. I mean, let's just call it how it is. Will Levis, I mean, go back to doing Mayo commercials, because you are not an NFL quarterback.
Tell me if I'm wrong. Like, look, we want to pay this its proper attention, right? We got to break the game down. We have to talk about it. It's a game on the schedule, and I'm really trying to keep myself from believing, you know what? This is about to be an absolute bloodbath. I just keep feeling like this is going to be one of them games where if they wanted to, you could see it. They could put up 60 points in this game, and you would have no worries.
Stop it.
That's just what I'm feeling right now. But that's why I'm like, okay, let's just talk about the game. Let's check the temperature of the chat. Let me talk to my ball knowers as well. KG, man, what's the concerns? Like, do I need to dial back the Kool-Aid just a little bit? Because that's what this segment is going to help me with today.
Absolutely not. When the Lions suck, they wasn't giving us no motherfucking man. But just being real, like Sam said, their defense, they do have a real defense. And I'm just go through a list of the players. Of course, Jeffrey Simmons, we all know him, but they do have Tavondre Sweat on that line. They just traded for Jerome Baker, new linebacker. He's solid. Harold Landry, of course, somebody that we want maybe in a Lions uniform in the next couple weeks. Shout out to him. Quandre Diggs, we all know Quandre Diggs, Amani Hooker, and L'Jarius Sneed. So that secondary is good as well. So
it's experienced.
Yeah, so you need the offense.
Come on.
You need this Lions offense to come out early. You don't want to give the Titans any hope, so the Lions offense needs to be in rhythm, and they need to be in rhythm early. Take the Titans defense out of this game. And on the offensive side of the ball, you're not worried about Will Levis or, Mason Rudolph or whoever the hell they got under center, but they do got a solid run game. Tony Pollard has been really good for them this year. Ty Spears, another change of pace back. He's solid as well. So you don't want to let them get the run game going because they do have a deep threat in Calvin Ridley, who has had his spots this year, but with inconsistent quarterback play. I don't think he blows, but he hasn't had good quarterback play this year because he has went off a couple times this year.
Yeah, but this is why we break it down, because a lot of people are going to do this one thing. They're going to look at the matchup. They're going to see 1 and 5. But what you guys are talking about, these things do matter. And that's why I asked that question that way. Like, you know what? I know what the narrative could feel like. Hey, go in there and just run roughshod over them. But there are some keys to this game that you brought to the table as well, Flannel.
Sure, and when we do this show, sometimes I'd like to channel my inner Dan Campbell or inner coach who aren't going to take any opponent lightly. And don't get me wrong, I still think, and we're going to get to that later, that the Lions do win and win fairly comfortably. But it's about being mindful. But another interesting number I want to give on this Titans defense, because I told you when it came to yards, passing yards, rushing yards, they're really good, at least on paper. But this defense, I won't even say this defense, I'll say this team is 21st in points allowed per game. And you wonder, how is that possible when they're not giving up very many yards? Well, it's because Will Levis and their special teams is kind of effing them. Look at the first game of the season. They gave the Bears 14 points with one of the worst pick sixes I've ever seen in my life by Will Levis and a punt block for a touchdown. And then against Green Bay, Will Levis threw a pick six as well. And Will Levis has been just an overall turnover machine. So I think that bodes well for the Lions, because who's more opportunistic than Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph? The answer is absolutely nobody. So whether it's Will Levis, whether it's Mason Rudolph, I'd prefer Will Levis. But no matter what, this Lions defense, I think, is going to be well prepared to make whatever quarterback's life happen.
This is one game in particular where I'm drinking all of the Kool-Aid, man.
Oh, yeah.
All of it. I want to see them go in there and look like a well-oiled machine. I want to see Ben Johnson go in there and we continue to see that deep, deep, deep well that he loves to talk about. This is one where I'm hoping, when you're talking about finding ways to really establish yourself as a team, as really a new team without Aiden Hutchinson, this is, in my opinion, the perfect game to do that. And we're going to have some guys that step up. Final Sam, who are you looking forward to seeing against the Titans really take that next step forward?
All right, so let's start with a couple of defensive guys, because I've got a couple teed up. Let's just call a spade a spade. The Tennessee Titans might have the worst offensive line in football. And the fact that the Lions haven't gotten anybody yet to replace the production of Hutch, I don't think that will matter at all for this game. And I'm not worried as of yet. Because this offensive line, rookie J.C. Latham, Pete Skoronski, Lloyd Cushenberry III, Dylan Raduns, and Nicholas Petit-Ferre. Don't know if I pronounced that right, not trying to be a prick. It's just they're not good, no matter who they are. So I think this is a big game for Aleem up the middle to wreak havoc, DJ Reader, Levi Onwuzurike. I look for them to just be menaces in the run game and to get some pressure up the middle. And honestly, I know Josh Paschal is still questionable, but he played, I thought, really well. I thought in his time against the Cowboys and last week, he played really, really well. Mm-hmm. And honestly, and I know this is a guy that almost is like Lord Voldemort right now. James Houston, get right game. I'm not saying he's going to play a lot of snaps. I'm just saying that if you get one rush where you can just abuse like a J.C. Latham, this would be the time to do it. J.C. Latham's going to be a good football player, but he is a rookie. And hell, even Isaac Ukwu, I just think this D-line will miss Hutch the least out of any game that you're going to play the rest of the year. And hell, by the time you play the Packers, by the time you play the Texans, you might have some reinforcements.
And that's what I'm saying. Not just the reinforcements, but also this rhythm. James Houston is the player that was on my mind, because I feel like, you know what, you're going into this game where he's had some success against the Titans in the past. Like, just go out there and ball out. You're at home. You have a great opportunity. Lomas Brown talked about this on E&E as well, that he got an opportunity to speak with James Houston, and he understands just how important this is for him to take advantage of this. You never want to see a teammate go down, but if they do, that teammate wants to know that his guys can help to pick him back up as well. Yes. And that's where I believe that James Houston, I'm hoping he's taking this week and taking this opportunity, which all these football players do, to make sure he is ready to go